Mastering Cybersecurity, Module 1, Foundations of Cybersecurity, Understanding the Digital World. Lesson 1.1, What is cybersecurity and why does it matter? Hello, and welcome to your master course on cybersecurity. In this first module, we're going to build the essential foundation for everything that comes next. Let's begin with Lesson 1.1, What is cybersecurity and why does it matter? Imagine your home. You lock your doors and windows to protect your belongings and your family. You don't give your house key to strangers. In the digital world, your personal information, your photos, your emails, your bank account details, is just as valuable, but it lives on computers and networks. Cybersecurity is simply the practice of locking the doors and windows to your digital life. This first lesson is the key to understanding your new digital front door. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to define what cybersecurity is and explain why it is important for everyone, not just for technical experts. We will define the term in simple language, explore the types of digital valuables we all possess, and look at real-world examples of why protecting them is so crucial. So let's start with the core question. What is cybersecurity? At its heart, cybersecurity is the practice of protecting computers, networks, and data from unauthorized access, damage, or attack. Think of it as a set of digital self-defense techniques. It's not just about technology, it's also about our habits and our awareness. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds like a job for a big company's IT department. But why does it matter to you? First, your data is valuable. Your personal information, like your name, address, and financial details, can be used by criminals for identity theft. Your private photos and conversations are meant to be private. Second is your financial security. A breach can lead to money being stolen directly from your bank accounts or fraudulent charges appearing on your credit cards. And third, our entire society relies on systems that need cybersecurity. This includes our power grids, our hospitals, and even our traffic lights. A successful attack on these systems can cause massive real-world disruption. For a stark real-world example, look at the WannaCry ransomware attack in 2017. It spread across the globe, locking up the files of hundreds of thousands of computers. This included computers in the UK's National Health Service, forcing hospitals to cancel appointments and even surgeries. This is a powerful reminder of how a digital attack can have serious, tangible human consequences. Now, let's make this personal. Take a moment to think and list 5 digital valuables in your own life that you would want to protect. You might have thought of things like your social media account login, the photos of your family on your phone, your saved credit card information on a shopping website, your private email history, or even your medical records. This exercise helps connect the abstract idea of data to your personal life. All of it is worth protecting. So, to conclude this first lesson, let's assess our understanding. In your own words, what is cybersecurity, and what is one reason it's important for an ordinary person? The answer is that cybersecurity is the protection of our digital information and the computer systems that hold it. And it's critically important for an ordinary person because a simple security failure could lead to their personal information being stolen for identity theft or their bank account details being taken and used for fraud. Lesson 1.2. The CIA Triad, the 3 pillars of security. Now that we understand what cybersecurity is, we need a framework for how to think about it. When we talk about protecting information, what do we actually mean? It's not just about keeping it secret. Imagine a doctor needs your medical records. The information must be kept private from others, it must be accurate and unchanged, and the doctor must be able to access it when needed. These 3 pillars, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, form the foundation of all cybersecurity, known as the CIA Triad. In this lesson, our objective is to define and differentiate between these three components. We will break down each pillar with simple definitions and clear everyday examples to make them easy to remember. The CIA Triad is a model used to guide policies for information security. Let's look at each part. First is C for confidentiality, the secrecy pillar. This is about ensuring data is accessible only to authorized individuals. It's about keeping secrets secret. A perfect analogy is a sealed private letter. Only the intended recipient should be able to open and read it. In the digital world, using a password to protect your email account is a perfect example of enforcing confidentiality. Next is I for integrity, the accuracy pillar. This is about maintaining the consistency, accuracy, and trustworthiness of data. It ensures that information has not been tampered with or altered. Think of a bank statement. The numbers on it must be correct and not be secretly changed after it's printed. When you wire money, data integrity ensures that the $100 you send is the same $100 that is received, without anyone changing it in the middle. Finally, we have A for availability, the access pillar. This is about ensuring that information and systems are accessible to authorized users when they need them. The analogy here is a library. The books are useless if the library is always closed and you can't get to them. A hospital's patient record system must be available 24/7 so doctors can access critical information in an emergency. If a cyber attack takes that system offline, availability is lost. So now, let's test this knowledge. I'll give you a few short scenarios. As I read each one, try to identify which pillar of the CIA Triad has been violated. First, a hacker breaks into a university's system and changes students' grades. That's a violation of integrity because the data is no longer accurate. Second, a ransomware attack encrypts a company's files and no one can open them. That is a loss of availability. And third, a disgruntled employee posts a list of all employee salaries on a public website. That is a clear violation of confidentiality. Excellent. So for our final check on this topic, what are confidentiality, integrity, and availability? And which pillar is violated if a hacker reads your private emails without permission? The answer, confidentiality is about keeping data secret. Integrity is about keeping data accurate, and availability is about ensuring data can be accessed when needed. If a hacker reads your private emails, they have violated confidentiality.
Lesson 1.3. Meet the players, hackers, heroes, and everything in between. We've covered the what and the how of security principles. Now let's talk about the who. The word hacker often brings to mind a criminal in a dark room, but the reality is much more complex. The digital world has a diverse cast of characters with different motivations. Understanding who these players are is key to understanding the threats we face. Our objective in this lesson is to differentiate between the primary types of cybersecurity actors, including black hat, white hat, and state-sponsored hackers. We'll explore their motivations and methods, moving beyond the simple stereotype. Let's start with the three main hats of hacking. First are the black hat hackers, the villains of our story. These are the illegal criminals you see in movies. They break into computer systems for personal gain, to steal or destroy data, or to cause disruption. Their motivation is usually money, notoriety, or simply causing chaos. A cybercriminal who deploys ransomware to extort money from a hospital is a classic black hat. Next, we have the white hat hackers, the heroes. Also known as ethical hackers, these are security professionals who are hired by companies to find vulnerabilities in their systems before the bad guys do. They have permission to hack, and their goal is to improve security. Their motivation is to help organizations solve complex puzzles legally and make the digital world safer. A penetration tester hired by a bank to try and break into their online banking app is a white hat. Finally, there are the nation-state actors, who you can think of as the spies. These are hackers who work for a government. Their goals are typically tied to espionage, intelligence gathering, or disrupting the critical infrastructure of other countries. They are often the most sophisticated and well-funded attackers. Their motivation is geopolitical advantage or cyber warfare. The famous Stuxnet worm, which was designed to damage physical equipment in Iran's nuclear program, is a prime example of a nation-state attack. Now for a quick activity. I'll describe an actor and you match them to their most likely motivation: financial gain, national interest, or improving security. Actor A, a professional hired to test a company's security, their motivation is improving security. Actor B, a criminal group stealing credit card numbers to sell online, their motivation is financial gain. Actor C, a government operative trying to steal military secrets from another country, their motivation is national interest. So, to wrap up this module, what is the key difference between a black hat hacker and a white hat hacker? The key difference is permission and intent. A black hat hacker acts illegally and with malicious intent. A white hat hacker acts with permission from the system owner and acts with the intent to find and fix security problems to make the system safer.
Module 2, the digital battlefield, common threats and attacks. Welcome to Module 2. Now that we have our foundational knowledge, we're moving from theory to reality. In this module, we will introduce the most common types of cyber attacks that individuals and organizations face. We will learn to identify these threats so we can begin to defend against them. Lesson 2.1, Malware, Viruses, Worms, and Trojans. Oh my! If cybersecurity is about locking our digital doors, then malware is what the burglars use to break in. Malware is short for malicious software, and it's a catch-all term for any software designed to cause harm. Just like there are different types of pests, there are different types of malware, each with its own nasty purpose. Our goal in this lesson is to differentiate between the three primary types of malware: viruses, worms, and trojans. We'll use simple analogies to understand how they work and spread. First, let's define the main types. A virus is a piece of code that attaches itself to a legitimate program, like a document or an application. It requires a human to do something, like opening an infected file, to spread. The analogy is a biological flu virus. It needs a host to spread from one person to another. It spreads when you open an infected email attachment or download a compromised file. A worm, on the other hand, is a standalone piece of malware that can replicate and spread itself automatically across a network, without any human interaction. The analogy here is an earthworm tunneling through the ground on its own. It spreads automatically by exploiting security vulnerabilities to travel from one computer to another. The WannaCry attack we mentioned earlier was a worm. Finally, a Trojan or Trojan horse disguises itself as something useful to trick you into installing it. Once inside, it opens a back door for attackers. It does not replicate itself. The analogy is the mythical Trojan horse from the story of Troy. The Greeks hid soldiers inside a giant wooden horse offered as a gift. Once inside the city, the soldiers came out and attacked. A Trojan spreads by tricking a user into downloading what they think is a legitimate program, like a free game or a fake software update. Let's apply this. Imagine you receive an email with a file named freemovieplayer.exe. You download and run it, and your computer starts acting strangely. What type of malware have you most likely been infected with? The answer is a Trojan. It disguised itself as a useful program to trick you into running it. To lock in this knowledge, what is the main difference in how a virus spreads compared to how a worm spreads?
A virus needs human action to spread, like opening an infected file. A worm can spread by itself across a network without any human help.
Lesson 2.2. Phishing. Don't take the bait. Not all attacks are purely technical. Some of the most successful attacks are just old-fashioned scams dressed up in new technology. Phishing is a digital con game. Instead of hacking your computer with code, the attacker tries to trick you into giving them your information. In this lesson, our objective is to identify the key characteristics of a phishing attack. We will define phishing, discuss common tactics, and identify the red flags to watch out for. Phishing is a type of social engineering attack where an attacker sends a fraudulent message designed to trick a person into revealing sensitive information. The analogy is a fisherman putting a fake lure on a hook to catch a fish. The email is the lure, and your login information is the fish. So what are the red flags? First, look for a sense of urgency. The message creates panic. Your account has been compromised. Click here immediately. Second, generic greetings. Instead of using your name, it says, "Dear valued customer." Legitimate companies usually use your name. Third, spelling and grammar mistakes. Scams often contain obvious errors. Fourth, suspicious links or senders. The sender's email address might look strange, like netf1x-support@hotmail.com, instead of an official address. You can also hover your mouse over a link without clicking to see the actual web address it goes to. And fifth, unexpected attachments. An invoice or document you weren't expecting often contains malware. Let's try to spot these. Look at this fake email. Identify at least 2 red flags. The email is from support@microsoft.com. The subject is urgent, your account is locked, ! And the body says, "Dear user, we have detected suspicious activity on your account. Please click here to verify your identity or your account will be closed." Did you spot them? The red flags are the misspelling of Microsoft as Microsoft in the sender address, the sense of urgency, the generic "Dear User" greeting, and the 2 misspellings of account in the body. So for our final check, you receive an email from your bank saying you need to click a link to prevent your account from being suspended. What are 2 things you should check? You should check the sender's email address to see if it's official. You should also check for a sense of urgency and look for spelling or grammar mistakes. The safest action is to never click the link, but instead go to your bank's website directly in a new browser window.
Module 3. Building Your Digital Fortress. Personal Security Practices. Welcome to Module 3. Knowledge is only half the battle. This module focuses on the practical, actionable steps every person can and should take to protect their digital lives, turning theory into daily habits. Lesson 3.1. Passwords, your first line of defense. Think of a password as the key to a room holding your personal information. A simple, common key, like 123456, is like leaving a key under the doormat. A strong, unique password is like a complex, custom-made key that is much harder for a burglar to break in. In this lesson, you will learn the characteristics of a strong password and the benefits of using a password manager. We will define what makes a password strong, introduce the concept of a passphrase, and explain how password managers are the ultimate solution. First, what makes a password weak? It's too short, fewer than 12 characters. It's too simple, using only lowercase letters. It uses common words like password, or it uses personal information like your birthday. So, what makes a password strong? 3 things: length, complexity, and uniqueness. For length, aim for at least 12 to 15 characters. For complexity,
use a mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. And for uniqueness, you must use a different password for every single important account. A great way to create strong passwords you can remember is to use a passphrase. This is a sequence of random words. For example, correct, horse, battery, staple. It's long, easy for you to remember, but very hard for a computer to guess. But how do you remember a unique, complex password for every site? The answer is a password manager. This is a secure, encrypted application that creates and stores strong, unique passwords for all of your accounts. You only have to remember one strong master password to unlock it. It then automatically fills in the unique passwords for all of your sites. It solves the two biggest password problems at once. Let's test this. Which of the following is the strongest password and why? Number 1, Jennifer 1992. Number 2, PASSWORD 1. Or number 3, Blue Giraffe Eats Quietly #27. The strongest is number 3, Blue Giraffe Eats Quietly #27. It's a long passphrase. It has complexity with uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and a symbol, and it's not based on personal information or common substitutions. To wrap up, why is it a bad idea to use the same password for your email account and your social media account? It's a bad idea because if your social media account gets hacked, the attackers will then have the password to your email. Your email is the key to resetting all your other passwords, so it needs the strongest, most unique password of all.
Lesson 3.2, Multi-Factor Authentication, MFA, the digital deadbolt. If a password is the key to your digital house, then multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is the deadbolt on the inside. Even if a thief steals your key, your password, they still can't get in. MFA is one of the single most effective things you can do to secure your accounts. Our objective is to explain what MFA is and identify its most common forms. We'll explore the 3 factors of authentication and how you can use them today. MFA requires you to provide 2 or more pieces of evidence, called factors, to prove your identity. The 3 factors are something you know. This is a password or a PIN. Something you have. This is something physical you possess, like your smartphone that receives a text code or an authenticator app. Something you are. This relates to your unique biological traits, like your fingerprint or your face. In practice, it works like this. First, you enter your password, something you know. Then, the service asks for a second factor, like a 6-digit code sent to your phone, something you have. An attacker with just your password is completely locked out. As a quick activity, I encourage you after this lesson to go into the security settings of a major account you use, like Google or Apple, and just find the option for 2-factor or multi-factor authentication. Simply finding it is the first step to enabling it. Now for our assessment. You log into your email with a password and are then asked to enter a code that was just texted to your phone. Which 2 authentication factors did you just use? You used something you know, your password, and something you have, your phone, which received the code.
Lesson 3.3, Safe Browsing and Digital Hygiene. We wouldn't walk through a dangerous neighborhood at night without being aware of our surroundings. The internet is a vast place, with both safe and unsafe neighborhoods. Practicing good digital hygiene and safe browsing is like being street smart online. Our goal here is to identify key practices for safe web browsing, including recognizing secure connections and the importance of software updates. We'll cover 3 essential habits. Habit 1. Keep your software updated. Software updates don't just add features, they contain critical security patches. Not updating your software is like knowing there's a broken lock on your window, but never fixing it. Turn on automatic updates for your operating system, your browser, and your apps whenever possible. Habit 2. Beware of public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi networks at cafes or airports are often unsecured, meaning an attacker on the same network could eavesdrop on your traffic. Avoid doing sensitive activities like online banking on public Wi-Fi. If you must use it, use a VPN or virtual private network, which creates a secure, encrypted tunnel for your data. Habit 3. Look for the lock. HTTPS. When you connect to a website, you need to know the connection is encrypted. Look at the address bar in your browser. A padlock icon and an address starting with HTTPS means the connection is secure. The S stands for secure. Never enter passwords or credit cards on a site that is not using HTTPS. As an activity, I encourage you to open a new browser tab and visit your bank or a major online store. Notice the padlock and the HTTPS in your browser. Now, try visiting an older, more obscure website and see if you can spot the difference. To finish this module, why is it so important to install software updates? It's important because software updates contain security patches that fix vulnerabilities. If you don't install them, your computer is left open to known attacks that criminals can easily exploit. Module 4, The Path Forward, Careers and Continuous Learning. Welcome to our final module. We've learned the principles, threats, and defenses. This module looks to the future, introducing cybersecurity as a career path and emphasizing that security is an ongoing process of learning and adaptation. Lesson 4.1, Careers in Cybersecurity, More Than Just Hacking. We've learned about white hats who protect organizations, but what do they actually do all day? The field of cybersecurity is vast and growing, with many roles for people with different skills, not just technical wizards, but also investigators, communicators, and strategists. In this lesson, our objective is to identify at least 3 different career roles within the cybersecurity field to show the breadth of opportunities available. Let's look at a few common career paths. First is the security analyst, the watchguard. This is often an entry-level role, monitoring network traffic and security alerts, looking for signs of an attack. They are the first responders. Next is the penetration tester or ethical hacker. This is the proactive white hat role. They are hired to legally hack into systems to find weaknesses before criminals do. Then there's the digital forensic investigator, the detective. When a breach happens, they come in to figure out what happened by recovering data and tracing the attacker's steps. And finally, consider the security awareness trainer, the teacher. This role focuses on the human side of security, training employees about phishing, passwords, and safe habits to make people the strongest link in the security chain. As a quick thought exercise, which of those roles sounds most interesting to you and why? Do you like solving puzzles, helping people, or investigating mysteries? There's a role for every one of those interests. To assess our knowledge here, can you briefly describe the job of a security analyst? A security analyst is responsible for monitoring a company's computer networks and systems for any signs of a security breach. They are the first line of defense in detecting and responding to an attack.
Lesson 4.2, Staying Informed, the Lifelong Journey of Security. Congratulations on making it to the final lesson. You now have a strong foundation in cybersecurity. But the digital world is constantly changing. New technologies emerge, and attackers develop new tactics. Cybersecurity is not a destination. It's a journey. The final and most important skill is learning how to keep learning.
Our final objective is to explain why continuous learning is essential and to identify one resource for staying up to date. So, why can't you stop learning? Because technology evolves, attackers adapt, and the threat landscape changes daily. What you learned today is the foundation, but you need to stay aware of what's happening now. There are simple, beginner-friendly ways to stay informed. You can follow reputable news sites, like Wired's security section. You can read security blogs from experts, like the fantastic Krebs on Security by journalist Brian Krebs. And you can use government resources, like those from the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA. I encourage you to take 5 minutes after this course and visit one of those resources. Just read a headline. You don't have to understand everything, but start building the habit of awareness. For our final assessment of the entire course, why is it important for someone to continue learning about cybersecurity even after they've learned the basics? It's important because attackers are always creating new methods of attack, and new technologies are always emerging with new vulnerabilities. Staying informed helps you recognize and protect yourself from the latest threats, not just the old ones. End of course conclusion. You have now successfully completed this master course on the essentials of cybersecurity. You started with the fundamental question of, why does this matter? And built a complete framework of knowledge covering the core principles, common threats, practical defenses, and the path forward. Remember that cybersecurity is a mindset of vigilance, curiosity, and continuous improvement. Use the knowledge and habits you've developed here to navigate the digital world safely and confidently. Thank you for taking this journey. Stay safe out there.